So Andy became a real remarkable natural leader, despite the fact that he wasn't formally a producer at the show and formally an author. He became a top-notch contributor. Ron Howard has stayed tight-lipped approximately his time at the Andy Griffith Show, and who may want to blame him? When you grow up on one in every of TV's maximum cherished units, each fan desires the interior gist. But now, after years of keeping matters under wraps, Ron is sooner or later pulling lower back the curtain on his relationship with Andy Griffith. Was Mayberry as photo perfect because it seemed? Did Andy encompass the charm of Sheriff Taylor off-display screen, off-screen, off-screen? Get ready because Ron's revelations just would possibly wonder you. Andy Griffith and Ron Howard are two names that bring again recollections of the small metropolis charm of the Andy Griffith display. But their courting wasn't pretty much fishing trips and existence classes in Mayberry. Sure, they shared laughs and heartfelt moments on display. However, their bond became complicated behind the curtain. For the first time, Ron Howard spills tea throughout his time with Andy Griffith. And agree with me, it is no longer all Sunday strolls and father-son talks. What secrets and techniques is Ron finally ready to percentage? And what approximately those rumors of friction? Ron Howard turned into the massive name director behind Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind. Ron Howard became just a child trying to make it in Hollywood, actually. Born on the 1st of March, 1954 in Duncan, Oklahoma, Ron seemed destined for the spotlight. When your mother and father are operating actors, what else will you do? Start a farm? By the time Ron became 15 months antique, he changed into already on display in a commercial. Most of us had been still figuring out how to walk, and Ron changed into accessible nailing his first gig. When the Owen family moved to Hollywood, his dad, Rance Howard, became his unofficial appearing coach. And if that wasn't sufficient, Ron's mother and father gave him the front row seat to state television productions. With his mother and father guiding him, Ron's early performances were not simply adorable. They have been polished. So, what does Ron have to mention approximately his real lifestyle's courting with Andy Griffith? Stick round, this story is about to get even extra exciting. Ron Howard didn't simply stumble into Hollywood, he nearly grew up in it. Imagine being 5 years vintage and landing your first film role in the journey. 1959. Most youngsters that age are just figuring out a way to tie their footwear. But Ron, he become already sharing display time with specialists. Still, it wasn't till he regarded on Playhouse 90 that human beings realized he become pretty precise. Critics praised his performances for having an intensity you'd in no way anticipate from someone who possibly nevertheless had to be reminded to devour his vegetables. By 1960, whilst Ron auditioned for the Andy Griffith Show, he turned into already turning heads in Hollywood. While his fiery purple hair might have first of all stuck a few casting directors' interest, his uncooked expertise and curiosity approximately acting sealed the deal. He got multiple callbacks early on due to the fact his hair made him stand out. Landing the role of Opie Taylor at 6 years antique, Ron became a massive name. His on-display dating with Andy Griffith become natural magic. However, what happened backstage becomes simply as vital. Andy took him beneath his wing, coaching him the whole lot, from comedic timing to why individual reasons count. It wasn't simply appearing classes, but existence lessons wrapped in sitcom allure. And then, there has been that iconic audition second. For Ron, the set of the Andy Griffith Show wasn't simply in which he labored. It became wherein he discovered, while most kids have been identifying recess politics, he changed into soaking up instructions on collaboration and storytelling, and allows be real. How many children can say they went to paintings every day and got life advice from Andy Griffith? Andy Griffith's story started within the small city of Mount Airy, North Carolina, Alaska, the blueprint for Mayberry. Born on the 1st of June, 1926, Andy didn't exactly have a silver spoon in his mouth. Growing up at some point of the Great Depression meant humble beginnings, but his parents somehow scraped collectively enough to buy him an antique trombone. Initially, Andy dreamed of becoming a tune teacher, but life had different plans, and his short wit and expertise for storytelling landed him gigs acting in nightclubs. His Big Destroy became a hilarious monologue about soccer. What it turned into changed into football. That went viral earlier than it changed into even an Element. Over 800,000 copies bought, evidence that a terrific snigger can take you a long way. That surprising hit catapulted Andy into the leisure world, in which his down-to-earth charm and humility have become his trademark. Off-screen, off-display screen, off-display, Andy wasn't just a co-superstar to young Ron Howard, Opie. Andy had an issue for making things relatable, regularly sprinkling in a tale or two to pressure the factor home. Ron later admitted that Andy's understanding shaped him each professionally and individually. They stayed near even after the display wrapped, with Ron regularly calling Andy for advice. It's safe to say Andy wasn't only a television legend, he was the type of mentor you'll desire for. Equal elements, clever and approachable, with just enough attraction to maintain matters light. In a heartwarming gesture, Andy Griffith gifted Ron Howard a signed guitar as a token in their friendship, a gift Ron still treasures. Built on mutual respect, their bond is considered one of Hollywood's best examples of a mentor-mentee dating. The Andy Griffith Show aired in 1960. Fast became a conventional for portraying small metropolis life and undying values. Over its 8th-season run, it always ranked some of the pinnacle-rated packages on TV. Andy Griffith's Sheriff Taylor embodied compassion and understanding, whilst Ron Howard's Opie symbolized innocence and curiosity. Together, they created a touching father-son dynamic. Behind the scenes, the cast and team fostered a family-like environment, contributing to the show's good tone. Did you understand the display's iconic whistling subject matter? The Fishin' Hole is one of the most recognizable television tunes ever. While the display cemented Andy Griffith as a TV legend, it also released Ron Howard's profession, supplying him with a stable basis for his future stardom. Transitioning from a loved early life role to adulthood is in no way clean, but Ron Howard controlled it with excellent grace. When the Andy Griffith display wrapped up, things felt one of a kind. It wasn't simply some other season wrap-up. This became the cease of technology. Andy Griffith stood at the microphone starting to talk, and all of a sudden, it hit him. The tears came. He was crying not only some tears. He turned into sobbing. It wasn't pretty much leaving a job at the back of. It turned into going a family, a way of life. He found out that the display had been greater than just a gig. It'd become a large part of his life. And now, with it all ending, he wasn't positive what life might be like without the one's acquainted faces and that comforting recurring. But searching returned. It wasn't simply the display that had defined his childhood. It became the way his dad had become in sudden flip of occasions into something even larger. His dad had come to California, hoping to sooner or later fulfill a dream on keep because of the Korean War. But his massive damage did not move for him. It came for his little boy. And that twist of destiny made his dad and performing educate, coaching him in a manner most effective a discern could. It wasn't your common acting elegance. His dad broke down the craft in a manner a little kid ought to apprehend, something easy, however effective. Even at 4 or 5, he became mastering the basics of Stanislavski, but simplified. His dad might take a scene, like Opie seeking to keep away from his homework, and spoil it down, explaining the emotions at the back of the traces. See, Opie does not need to do his homework, and his dad wishes him to. He's simply trying to get out of it. His dad could manual him, displaying him the layers of the individual in a simple way for a kid to recognize. And if there were ever a scene in which Opie was getting away with something, he might speedy remind him, "That's television, not real life. Don't try it at home." But his dad wasn't just an appearing instruct. He had this uncommon gift. He wasn't intimidated by using everybody, no matter how effective they have been. He labored with legends like Andy Griffith, Don Knotts, Aaron Rubin, and Sheldon Leonard. But despite a majority of these big names, his dad would boost his hand and say, "Hold up. I do not suppose this is operating. Opie's discovering as too bratty." Instead of reasonably priced laughs, allows make their dating greater honest. And the loopy component was that they listened. Andy and Sheldon, they heard him out and agreed. That shift, that choice to make Opie's relationship, along with his dad, greater real, ended up being a sport changer for the display. Fast ahead to the final days of capturing, he was 14, and the rap celebration become not like whatever earlier than. The show become nonetheless #1, but Andy Griffith was geared up to transport on. And virtually, he became okay with it. He had different pastimes, sports, directing, and returning to school. But when the very last day of shooting came, it felt like a punch to the intestine. At the celebration, Andy took the mic, and much like that, the tears started flowing.